Good morning, evening, or night, wherever you are. Welcome to WHAM today. Take a deep breath, clear your mind, and let's drift through the whispers of today's world, one quiet thought at a time. As we wrap up Saturday, 2nd August 2025, let's see what stories are unfolding around us. The US stock market experienced a $1.10 trillion wipeout due to tariff and inflation worries, ending Wall Street's record week-long run. This sell-off is causing some retail investors to eye European markets, viewing US valuations as stretched, and prompting talks about investment strategies, including following Warren Buffett's advice. Delta Airlines has assured US lawmakers it won't use AI to personalize fares. In trade, the US and South Korea reached a tariff easing agreement, though agricultural access, especially for rice, is debated, along with concerns over high-precision NAP data. President Trump calls the U.S.-South Korea relationship great despite these points. A think tank suggests Taiwan faces economic risk if the U.S. imposes semiconductor tariffs under a potential Trump plan. U.S. investment in Asia-Pacific real estate jumped 31% year-on-year in Q2, reaching $5 billion, driven by yields and stable growth in Australia, Singapore, and Japan. Turning to South Korea, the trade deal with the U.S. has eased tariffs, but sparked debate on agricultural access, particularly U.S. rice. Seoul has drawn a red line on including high-precision map data in the U.S. trade agreement. Despite disagreements, Trump called the relationship great after the deal. Korean adoptees in the US and Europe are trying to reconnect with their families, but face difficulties. Regarding Taiwan, a think tank suggests economic risk arises as the US considers semiconductor tariffs under a possible Trump proposal. The Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company Limited, TSM, has seen its stock position reduced by US Bancorp DA. Meanwhile, European stock markets are down due to trade headwinds reflecting US concerns. Some retail investors are shifting from the US to European markets, seeing better valuations. European airline stocks, including Air France-KLM, Lufthansa, and EA, are surging, reshaping the global travel market. India remains committed to its oil imports from Russia, despite tariff pressures from President Trump, justifying its energy independence. The Indian stock market experienced a downturn after Trump's tariffs on July 31, 2025, particularly affecting companies reliant on US trade. India's equity benchmark indices fell for the fifth straight week due to global uncertainties and cautious investor sentiment. Foreign portfolio investors showed a net outflow of 17,741 crore in July, according to NSDL data.dr. Upcoming events like the RBI MPC meeting, potential India-US trade deal, and Coinwine earnings are expected to influence the Wall Street this week. Arshil, India's oldest asset reconstruction firm, has initiated plans for a public listing through an IPO. Mumbai is recognized as India's financial center and wealth hub. Anand Rathi's Ganesh Dongra suggests purchasing stocks of National Aluminium Co., Central Depository Services India, and Maricoda. The role of financial institutions in shaping India's energy future is also being emphasized. Lastly, India's investigative agency has made its initial arrest related to the $2 NL Ambani loan fraud case. United Kingdom. The UK's highest court reversed much of a previous verdict about the legality of some car finance deals. The UK's FT 100 stock market is currently rising and hitting record peaks, though it did briefly after new tariffs from the US were announced. Investors are showing increasing interest in UK stocks due to instability in the US market. UK house prices have risen by 2.4%, but there are fears that a potential decline in London could affect the rest of the country. Investment firms and trusts are advising investors to consider income-paying FTSE stocks for growth and dividends in August. Strategic Equity Capital is providing support to smaller UK companies to help them compete with larger corporations. Barclays has become the second bank in the UK to withdraw from the industry's net zero group. Private equity firms are increasing their activities in the UK's pension risk transfer market. The UK is planning to lift the ban on crypto agents for retail traders on October 8. However, derivatives will still be prohibited. Ukraine and Russia. Ukraine has formally accused the governor of Russia's Voronezh region of secretly providing funds to Russian troops operating within Ukraine. Ukrainian forces claim to have successfully struck Russian oil facilities and a Russian military airfield. The US is considering sending envoys to both Ukraine and Russia as a critical deadline approaches. China is strategically using theme parks like a new Legoland resort to boost consumer spending and address its slowing economic growth. Its manufacturing sector contracted unexpectedly in July to a value of 49.5. China is also embracing open source AI, which Andrew Ng believes could help it surpass the US. This contrasts with Meta Platforms' more cautious approach. Despite our sanctions, Chinese tech firms are preparing to present new AI advancements. Economically, China will impose a 34% tariff on all goods imported from the US. Hong Kong exchanges will facilitate a new crypto liquidation framework, indicating China's growing interest in cryptocurrency. China is also building the world's largest hydropower dam, a development welcomed by capital markets. China is partnering with Saudi Arabia on a joint ammunition manufacturing facility. China is currently leading Asian aviation, closely followed by India. Saudi Arabia is strategically increasing its stock sales to support ambitious spending initiatives, even after a slight dip in July. The kingdom's stocks are still viewed favorably by investors. Looking ahead, Saudi Arabia is expected to raise oil prices for Asian customers for the second month running in September. Non-oil revenues in the second quarter of 2023 grew by 7%, demonstrating economic diversification. The nation is also doubling down on its Saudization plans, with targets of up to 80% localization in select industries. In July, a large anti-corruption drive led to 142 arrests and 425 separate investigations. To modernize its infrastructure, a new e-commerce payments portal has been unveiled, strengthening ties with regional partners. Saudi Arabia and Turkey recently signed a memorandum of understanding to enhance collaboration in accounting and auditing practices. South Korea's stock market is seeing a surge in foreign investment, especially in Samsung Electronics, owing to its robust performance. Despite this, stocks experienced a dip due to investor concerns about tax reform and trade instability. Domestically, the ruling Democratic Party has elected a new leader. Meanwhile, the former president, who is currently imprisoned, has refused to cooperate with questioning by discarding his prison uniform. In labor news, the death of a South Korean employee after 3 consecutive company drinking sessions has been officially designated as work-related. The entertainment industry is experiencing a surge in popularity for Netflix's K-pop Demon Hunters among South Korean viewers. Moreover, a deal involving the Trump administration includes plans to transform global shipbuilding, potentially impacting South Korea. Russia continues to be a key oil exporter to India, with no official directive from New Delhi to halt purchases. Allegations have surfaced regarding Russian oil circumventing sanctions and entering Australia through grey market channels. Meanwhile, Russia faced a series of attacks targeting its infrastructure, including refineries and airfields, with the Defense Ministry claiming the downing of 112 drones. In Geneva, the head of North Korea's assembly met with Russian representatives, alongside delegates from other countries. Turning to the United States, Donald Trump's reported decision to dismiss an official stemmed from discontent with an economic jobs report. Separately, it is alleged that Trump strategically repositioned nuclear submarines as a deterrent signal to Russia. Hong Kong is advancing its regulatory framework for digital assets. The Hong Kong Exchanges and Clearing HKEX will reduce the minimum trading spread for about 300 stocks, effective Monday. This aims to lower transaction costs and increase turnover. Editorials suggest aligning Hong Kong's trading days with mainland China. Discussions are ongoing with Hong Kong's largest licensed virtual asset exchange concerning stablecoins. In real estate, Angelo Gordon and Wang An have acquired Hotel Ease, Mongkok. Switzerland faces new economic headwinds as President Trump imposed a 39% tariff after dismissing the nation's efforts to avert it. The tariffs threaten to raise prices on Swiss luxury goods sold in the U.S. This action follows accusations that Switzerland compromised its neutrality and revealed confidential financial information. An eighth professor has warned that the tariffs could trigger widespread short-time working across various sectors in Switzerland. Australia is carefully considering the potential of AI to unlock new avenues for growth. Meanwhile, a remote Australian port has emerged as a strategic location in the evolving security dynamics between the United States and China. The Australian Securities Exchange, ASX, is bracing for a potentially challenging profit season, where company valuations will face intense examination. The country is actively seeking to identify and nurture the next CSL, a prominent player in the biotechnology sector. July saw a significant rise in BHP's share price, fueled by optimism surrounding the company's expansion prospects. In related financial news, British insurer Howden suggests that a substantial 70% of Australian businesses are currently underinsured, revealing a considerable vulnerability within the national economy. Across Asia, markets reacted negatively to tariff-related news, even as the Pakistan Stock Exchange, PAXX, celebrated reaching an all-time high. Former U.S. President Trump's policies are cited as a factor accelerating the interest in stablecoins among Asian financial centers. In investment news, Sumit Bagadia suggests buying shares of ITC, Asian Paints, and Metropolis Healthcare. Global trade and economy. President Trump's claims about tariffs restoring manufacturing jobs in the U.S. are questionable. Hyperglobalization might worsen inequality, but trade barriers aren't likely to revitalize factories or reduce income gaps. The U.S. imposing tariffs on multiple countries initially drove European stocks down to 4-week lows, even as Wall Street saw gains. European stocks initially fell because of U.S. tariffs, but they recovered due to strong earnings from companies like Safran and Rolls-Royce. Japan's ETF market is growing, shown by the increasing popularity of the global ex-China Tech Top 10 ETF. However, new auto sales in Japan decreased for the first time in 7 months. Canada offers several undervalued dividend stocks that are good for long-term investment, presenting high-yield opportunities for investors. Iran is close to resolving its gas export issues with Iraq. Separately, Iranian official Abbas Araqi stated that war with Israel could resume. Kuwait has completed 60% of its education reform, including major curriculum and digital improvements. Israel, Gaza. A U.S. envoy has informed Israeli hostage families that they are working on a plan to end the Gaza war. Saudi Arabia, Syria, and Saudi Arabia have signed multi-billion-dollar investment agreements. New Zealand will begin charging fees for foreign visitors at popular tourist spots. Pakistan was struck by 2 earthquakes, the first measuring 4.8 in magnitude, followed shortly by a second registering 5.4. Vietnam, the Vietnam Korea Friendship Cultural Festival, Da Nang, 2025 has begun. Sri Lanka is prioritizing the development of its capital market as a key strategy for economic recovery. Venezuela. A dispute is escalating over Venezuela's most valuable asset. In China, the discussion centers on Spain's often overlooked historical presence in Shanghai. And that's a wrap for today's news, because even headlines need a nap. Stay curious, stay kind, and let the noise fade as you find your quiet. Take care, stay awesome, and I'll see you next time on WHAM today.